All right, I think everybody knows exactly what day it is, baby. It is hashtag Friday Pie Day. Markets got absolutely murdered yesterday, and all markets, right? We called it out. We told people inside of Nordic Alpha days and days and days in advance. This is the Wolfer briefing. So we're going to talk about all things Wolfer, and we're going to talk a little bit about this market crash, man, because this thing, woo. Woo, that thing went down fast, right? And to be honest with you, technical analysis told the tale of the tape. We knew it was going to happen. We knew that NVIDIA was probably going to be the catalyst. As soon as NVIDIA started dropping, you knew the S&P was about to just get murked. And as soon as the S&P starts getting murdered, you know what's going to follow. Crypto, right? The one thing that was a little bit wild, and I think this is noteworthy, at least in my opinion, this is noteworthy, right? The alts actually stayed relatively steady. Like they didn't lose 15% whenever Bitcoin went down. Now, today they went down a bunch. But it was pretty wild because usually whenever Bitcoin goes down by 3-5%, you'll see alts going down by 20%. It's nuts. And it just didn't happen. They stayed pretty much in line with and parred the, I wouldn't call them gains, but like the negative on Bitcoin, right? Which was pretty crazy to see, to be honest with you. I was super surprised about that. Now, there's been a little bit of market shakeup with Burlcore, right? If you guys know what Burlcore is, and if you're Wolfers, you know exactly what Burlcore is. There was a pretty big shakeup that happened this week, and I dropped it in the chat in the Discord and kind of showed everybody what was going on. I got it brought to my attention by Paul D. And we're going to talk about it. I might do an entire video on it just to cover it because I know 90% of people that want to know about it aren't going to know that it's on this video. But I do want to talk about it, right? I think it's worth talking about. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's share this statement. This is wild, man. Pretty wild, just to be honest. Okay, let's zoom it in a little bit just so you can see. So this was released on the 17th, just like 4 days ago, right? From Dignan, right? Adam Dignan. Okay, and it's for immediate release. He's saying false allegations. You can read all of this if you want. If you want to pause the video or whatever, I can read some of it. But essentially what he's saying is these guys framed me. These guys set me up. I got arrested in Dubai because I was supposed to be meeting with them. And then I did not get to meet with them and they set me up. You know, I was working with Sam and Adam on launching a new financial technology, Ocean Money, blah, blah, blah. They were getting it up and running during the second half of 2023. The company was falling behind on schedule. After I realized that, I got a board of directors and tried to get, an independent technology audit and a capable firm to conduct the audit. Obviously, Sam and Mr. Javi, the other Adam, they didn't want to do it. They were opposed to it, right? And they resisted it, obviously. This led to Dignan demanding full access to all company systems and full financial audits, blah, blah, blah. Then, they were resisted as well, and he was abruptly cut off from all communications with these guys. He then tried to mediate with them through their own lawyers, right? And they did not want to do anything. They didn't want to do the audits. They didn't want to, do the audits of the tech, nothing. And then what Dignan says is they offered him $250,000 to just walk away and sign a non-disclosure agreement. Huh? All right. That makes sense, I guess, And that's when he kind of suspected foul play. He was then invited to a meeting in person with Sam and the Adam number 2 in Dubai, and they were supposed to open up full transparency to him. He said basically they had 2 lawyers or unknown individuals show up whenever he got to Dubai. Sam and Adam number 2 weren't there, and say, that, he should just comply with the request and, take $250,000 and walk away. And he said no. And then as soon as he left that meeting, he was arrested by the Dubai police. This is where he starts to get into the framing allegations. My alleged offense was sending abusive text messages to Sam and Adam number 2. Oh, the Sammy boy and Adam number 2, do they need their safe spaces, right? He said mean things to me on text messages, man. So that's basically how that went down. Arrest them, Dubai police. While I was in custody, Dignan, they said that they hosted an AMA, and I remember this, Borough Court did host an AMA, falsely announcing that he had stolen or misappropriated funds from Borough Court wallets and that a criminal case had been opened. This was entirely false, at least at the time, I assume. I'd been detained and questioned only for the text message allegations. I was later released that day, and through a member of the community found out about the allegations. Obviously, he professes his innocence to this day. These are false claims of embezzlement from, Phil Burley, who's the CEO of whatever, Borough Corps. Even though it was apparent that the investor community, the allegations being made were referring to me, I was advised by my legal representation not to retaliate and not to comment. Obviously, any good lawyer that's worth their salt is going to tell you, just don't say anything until we sort this out. So during that time, no case from Borough Corps or Phil was lodged in the UAE, despite him saying that they had opened up a case against Dignan, right? So when they failed to deliver on their commitments, the project community grew, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Basically, Phil said that that Dignan stole his crypto wallet login credentials and had stolen funds from his personal USDT account. So if that's the case, then they can't sit here and act like Dignan, like say worst case scenario, Dignan did do it, right? He stole money from Phil. That's not stealing money from Borough Corps. That's inherently different than what they said, okay? So we move on. He submitted all relevant records and documentation in his possession to support the Dubai police with their investigation, blah, blah, blah. Over subsequent months, obviously, Sam and Phil made, repeated false statements on Discord and in public voice recordings, blaming the Dubai investigation for repayment delays. Basically, Dignan is saying, none of your money got wrapped up because of these cases. Like, it's not in escrow. It was never in escrow, blah, blah, blah. And then on May 19th, at a hearing in Dubai court, he received a fine for a misdemeanor of regulatory infringement for promoting digital assets not officially recognized in Dubai, right? So they tried to open a civil claim on the same day, which was rejected by the Dubai courts. Then they used the only legal right that they had left to prolong the proceeding, filed an appeal. Notably, they failed to attend any of the scheduled appeal hearings. And then the appeal was finally rejected on October 14th, 2025 and dismissed, right? Dude, this is pretty nuts. And then if I can give you a couple of other excerpts from it. And then this is what Borough Corps said, naturally. It's a considerable disappointment that we must address the circulation of an unsigned document purporting unsigned document, basically trying to say, oh, this is not verified that Dignan issued this. Now, absolutely, it could be. It could be totally fake, right? The name of a certain Mr. Adam Dignan. Having reviewed the contents, we have forwarded a copy to our legal advisors in the UAE. Well, if there's no non-disclosure agreement and there's no non-disparagement clause and he didn't actually defame you or tell any lies in that statement, you have zero legal recourse. You're literally wasting money if all those things are true, right? So for the avoidance of doubt, the UAE legal system portal is publicly accessible. Funny enough, they're basically telling you, oh, you can go and look up these cases. And then they go to say, and I'll touch on that in a second. And then they say, and pending receipt of counsel's advice, We require, not ask, we require all members of our community to refrain entirely from speculation, commentary, or attempted interpretation of Mr. Dignan's statement. No. You don't get to tell people what to do, man. You don't get to tell people what to do. No discussion of its substance is to take place in any forum whatsoever until such time. Whatever, dude. Whatever, dude. You can't tell people not to talk about something. You can say, hey, if you talk about this in our Discord, we're going to silence you. But you can't be like, we require you to not discuss this. Like, delusions of grandeur at best. Insane. So they say, oh, go to the UAE, the Dubai legal portal. Excuse me. I did that. And I did it on Dubai VPN. And if anybody wants the link to the cases, I'll give it to you. Just tell me. I'll drop in the comments section or something. Everything that Dignan said in his statement from the dates perspective, it all lines up. So I don't know what they were getting at saying, hey, you should go, look into the cases. Bro, the cases were dismissed. This looks bad. Okay? The cases were dismissed on that day. 0 charges. 0 criminal charges that we can see. Now, the problem that I'm seeing is, okay, he did get and again, the misdemeanor thing, it's on there, right? I can't imagine. Now, here's the bad thing about Dubai. They don't list anything on there. It's like case information, case number, blah, 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 right? Who's the defendant? Where's it? What judicial court? Stuff like that. And then it just lists the actions and the related cases. So the misdemeanor is true. Dignan admitted that, and the date on that lines up as well. Now, if Dignan legitimately had stolen millions of dollars or hundreds of thousands of dollars even from Borough Corps, and there was a criminal investigation on that, do you really think that it would have been a misdemeanor? No. No, it would not have. It's way too much money. So, my speculation is that a lot of what he said has validity. You know what would be cool? And if Dignan, you're watching this, bro, maybe think about this. Maybe release the case files, bro. Maybe release the case files and show everybody what they can't see on that public profile. Because if you're being truthful, then these guys are over here hiding behind, this transparency or whatever. Well, then, bro, what happened? We need to see what happened with the case files. Or Borough Corps, release the case files, right? Release the case files of your case against Dignan, right? Like, I think there's a burden of proof here for both parties. First off, if it really is Dignan, there's a burden of proof on you to say, hey, here's the stuff that proves what I said is correct. And secondarily, Borough Corps, there's a burden of proof on you to say, hey, these accusations are wrong, right? So I think in any case, somebody's got to address something. Just saying. Because from what I see and what I saw on the Dubai website, man, the dates and stuff line up. That's all I'm going to say about it. I'll do a different video about it at a later time. Now, let's see what's going on with the markets. Because that's some heavy stuff there, bud. That's some heavy stuff there that Dignan just dropped on people. If it is indeed Dignan. It's not, no confirmation. I don't even know where that came from, right? All I know is it was dropped in one of their ecosystem's Discords, quickly deleted, but a couple of people downloaded it, and then it just trickled its way over to me. The internet sleuths strike again. Does anybody have anything that they want to add to that? Like, does anybody like, there's not a single comment about it in the comments section. I don't know. That's wild, man. You know, this dude has been, I don't know, accused of stealing millions of dollars from people. He comes out, professes his innocence, lays out his case, essentially says, this is what happened. I don't know, man. I don't know. That's pretty wild. That's all I got to say. It's pretty wild. So let's talk about what's going on inside of the markets. Okay. So the S&P absolutely got demolished yesterday. Why? Because NVIDIA beat on earnings and then immediately retraced the entire move and then some, right? The entire move and then some. Set a new low, right? And then, I mean, I was talking about this earlier in our technical analysis inside of NORDIC Alpha, right? And I'm not going to go too deep into it because I know that's not what people are here for. But if we retrace to this VWAP, I could see a rejection and then a subsequent even further move downwards, right? Or you could retrace up here to these old lows. Somewhere in this range is where I could see the S&P retracing to. And that will absolutely affect the big daddy, the big dog Bitcoin. Dex, you got it, bro. The funny thing is, and I was going to save this for the real video on this, but if everybody remembers, I got crucified because whenever all this stuff came out, I said, hey, not for nothing, I don't believe it. I said, I don't believe it until you prove it to me. You guys need to prove it. You can't just say this dude did that because, and I laid out a bunch of different scenarios. I was like, maybe the whole thing was just, you know, and this is just a scenario, right? I'm not trying to represent this as fact, right? This is just something to think about. And that's exactly what I said. Is there a possibility that Project 79 and GSP before Burrow Core existed were just a Ponzi scheme, right? And then by bringing people and making them, or not making them, but basically incentivizing them to then move their funds without getting their funds back, right? Hey, transition your funds over into Burrow Core, kept people from the Ponzi crumbling, right? And again, this is just a scenario, right? This is a hypothetical situation that I brought to the light months and months ago when all this stuff happened. I called that out a long, long time ago, like Dex said. You know, I have a long, illustrious career of calling out things on the internet, and I do a pretty darn good job of it, right? I would say my win rate with calling out scams and dummy devs and clown creators is about as high as my win rate inside of trading, which my win rate's about 90%. Okay? And I would say, you know, my calling out scams is usually probably 95%. Pretty darn good at that. Okay? So let's talk about where Bitcoin could be going. Okay? I literally called this out, this exact short. We called this out, took full take profit. For every dollar you risked, you would have made $36 on this trade, by the way. If you would have been inside of NORDIC Alpha, we called it out for you. Okay. We told you where it was going to reject, where it was going to go, and then where you could catch your bounce points. And your bounce points were right here. Why? Because there was a naked VWAP, a naked point of control, and a parallel deviation zone right there that we all knew about in advance. So this is where we're at right now. Your first target would be 89.4, right? Maybe your first target actually is probably 86.1. Second target is 89.4. Okay? So those are the naked VWAPs above you. Now, let me show you something because this is super interesting. And I think this is cool stuff to look at. If you look at this parallel from September 2023 onward, right? You can see how the upper end of it just gets respected, right? But you can deviate outside of this parallel, right? And so what I have is this deviation zone here. This is proprietary. This is only known by 2 people as it sits right now. and it's myself and John is the other trader inside of NORDIC Alpha. And he's the one that actually put me onto this and said, maybe I should try a deviation zone. And then he did it and he was like, oh, wow, it looks great. And then look at this. So this little blue line right here, right? This little blue line, we can zoom in. This little blue line right here, these two blue lines, this is your deviation zone. This is the beginning of it. This is the end of it. Look how close you came to the deviation zone. You came down to $80,500 and your deviation zone was at $80,000, almost exactly. You came within $500 of tagging that deviation zone. And this is why I gave this trade out yesterday and told people, or it wasn't yesterday, it was 2 days ago. 3 days ago. Sorry, it was on the 18th. I said, hey, you might want to think about going long here, right? But, for all intents and purposes, let's talk about what's going on with the rest of the market, right? Because if you want like super duper real awesome TA, show up to my stream that's going to be starting in 8 minutes and we'll go like super ham, right? But here's what's happening from an overarching perspective, at least on Avalanche, right? Which is one of the big exposures that Wolfer Finance has, okay? So I'm seeing you could have potentially longed here if you SFP'd these lows. Obviously, you did not SFP those lows, right? This is your descending triangle bottom, right? And obviously, you did not SFP the lows and get your descending triangle bottom. Where's the descending triangle? It's right here. Instead, you literally just fell straight through it, right? So no SFP, right, of the lows, okay? You didn't quite get it. You SFP these lows, but not these, right? So you almost got it, but you didn't quite get it. So, okay, whatever. And then you just ripped right back down, right? So nothing you could do about that. Obviously, saved you from, getting screwed over. This is where you could have started thinking about entering right here on this candle right here, right? Because why? We broke down. We confirmed, then we back tested, and there was your drop, right? And so right now, had you gotten into that, you would be up, I don't know, a few percent, probably a few percent, I would assume. 14%. It's big boy moves, man. That's big boy moves. That's not a small move. So in my opinion, what do we need to do? Well, we need to stay above $10.72. And really what we need to do is we need to reclaim this $15.70 range, right? That's what we need to do. Because right now you're in a super, super downward sloping trajectory. So if you can just break up right here by basically the next Thursday and get above $15.70, get a close above that, you're starting to look real good on Avalanche. Now, here's one that kind of performed as expected, right? We were talking about coming down to the golden pocket and this 0.382, right? So, or not the golden pocket, the 0.5 and the 382, right? This was our range right here we were talking about. This right here. I don't know why I have this thing up. So you wicked straight through. I mean, this is massive, massive support, right? Look at this. I'll show you why. On ETH, this is massive support. It stems from a previous low. Then it was resistance here, resistance here, resistance here, resistance here, resistance here, resistance here. And now, whenever you flip resistance, it then becomes support, okay? So do you catch a bounce here on ETH? I mean, there's a possibility that you do, right? Let's see. Yeah, so you got your SFP of the lows, right? You got your SFP of the lows right here. You didn't get a full take profit. You came within, I don't know, a couple bucks of it, whatever, right? So you got that long. We set that up on the stream for you, no problem. That's not going to hit for a while. This thing hit perfectly. And then you have this bad boy right here. This hit perfectly as well. Where's my other one? I mean, as it sits right now, this would be your first target, $3,300. Now, obviously, you need to uphold this $2,700 level, and your last ditch effort is literally right here, 25.28. If you lose that, like, it's really, really bad. That means Bitcoin's probably losing the parallel and is probably headed into a nice bear market, unfortunately. So you got to watch this level right here, which is the point of control of this range all the way up to there. That big parabolic move, right? So you really have to watch this $2,550 level, and technically like 26, right? 2,600. Okay. So that's kind of what you're looking at on ETH. Yes, it is. It is a custom thing, DEX, that whatever. It's a custom setting. It's not necessarily a script, right? It's not like Pine script or anything like that. But yeah, it's a custom setting. Similar to how you can edit your Fibonacci's, you know, and stuff like that. You can edit your parallels too. So with that being said, I mean, as it sits right now, I think everybody's just kind of in like wait and see mode on the market. Let's see what happens here. I mean, you've got a massive fair value gap on this candle too. I mean, look at this friggin' thing. I don't know, man. I feel like you're going to have to come back down here and test this before you can keep moving up. And the problem is if you come down here and test this, you're probably going to lose it. That's on the S&P, right? So, I mean, let's watch what happens here. But in my opinion, you just hold. You hold, right? You don't always have to be in a trade, man. And unless you're in Nordic Alpha and you already had this trade set up because I gave it to you days and days in advance, you should not be thinking about trades right now, right? At least until you get up to here. And then you can start thinking about taking a short-term short, right? Or you get up to here and you can start thinking about taking another short, right? Or if you just reverse here, you get below this deviation zone, you can start thinking about shorts as well. But I mean, we literally called out the $80,000, $81,000 range yesterday. I mean, we literally did it. And you can go watch my stream. Go watch my stream if you don't believe me. For the love of everything that is holy, don't believe me. Go and check it out, man. Like, go and verify it for yourself. I am not going to sit here and like lie to people about something and many things actually that can be checked. Just go to the stream yesterday, see what happens. Does anybody have any thoughts about what they think is happening in the market right now? I have my own thoughts, right? I'll do it. I'll tell everybody my thoughts in 1 minute. I'll start the new stream and we'll do the real TA stream. But if you have any thoughts, drop them in the comment section. I'll be glad to hear them. But for all the people that want actionable levels, want actionable trades, and want action, stay on this channel because I promise you in about 18 seconds after I end this, I'm going to start up a brand new stream and we're going to do all the TA that you want, baby. Let's get it. Happy Friday, Pie.